So I'm going to start with Netflix, if you don't mind, because Michael, one of my colleagues, Scott Wapner, posted that you've been down on Netflix since they sold VHS tapes pretty much. Netflix, was it a pandemic play that's kind of lost its luster in the sense that we're kind of getting back out in the world, or does Netflix have more room to run?
Well, the judge is a wise man. He's been a good friend for a long time. My thesis has been right as far as profitability and valuation, wrong on how big they could get. They really did surprise me with their international move about 7 or 8 years ago, and they really shocked me that they kept competition at bay as long as they did. You know, obviously, if it's such a good business, why didn't Disney Plus start up in 2011? So, you know, holding off competition, expanding internationally, and then the key, creating content, is the reason the stock's gone up so much. But the core business is just never going to grow past, you know, another 5 million households, 10 million households in the U.S. and Canada, and that's the bread and butter. All their growth is coming in kind of low-priced areas like India. You know, they call that Asia Pacific, but it's really mostly India. And they're just not going to be able to charge much more than $253 a month. So I don't see them ever becoming uber profitable while they're growing. I see them slowing growth and then harvesting and being profitable. That commands a lower multiple. So I've had a low target on it for a long time. I remember, you know, 6 months ago, somebody asked me why my target was so low. And here we are. They're at my target now. So clearly I was right for a change. It took me 10 years to be right, but I'll run my victory lap now.
Both humble and patient. Ygal, going over to you. Talking about Amazon, we all know a stock split doesn't create any value. Dee just kind of spelled that out just now, but sometimes it can really infuse a stock. Do you see that happening with Amazon? And also, are we discounting or maybe not fully realizing the power of their logistics business that's really grown into a competitor for UPS and FedEx in its own way? Not a direct apples to apples competitor, but certainly a rival.
Sure. So I'll have to kick it back over to Michael to add color on Amazon, since he's the lead analyst on Amazon. Certainly, a stock split is favorable for the retail investor, especially, you know, when stocks get up to 4 digits. We're seeing Google make that move as well, or Alphabet make that move as well. So certainly something that can be constructive in helping on the retail investor side. And look, logistics and e-commerce is incredibly important, and you know, we're seeing that play out today more than ever with the supply chain challenges. Being able to control their own destiny is ultimately very, very valuable. That's something we've seen play out across the competitive landscape. You know, Shopify is getting more into fulfillment. Wayfair, it's a core central part of what they're doing. So fulfillment and Amazon's efforts there are certainly a key competitive advantage, I think.
All right, Ygal, I'm going to stay with you for a second. We're going to get back to Michael in a second, but I also want to talk about Google. How do you see things playing out for Google? YouTube has really become a juggernaut, and ever since it broke it out in its earnings, we've really seen the growth and the power of it. And you want to talk about streaming. I think sometimes YouTube's overlooked as a streaming giant all on its own.
Absolutely. Google's in a great spot right now. YouTube is just one of those things, but YouTube has done incredibly well. And when you think about where YouTube is in the kind of growth and evolution of TV, right, Michael just talked about how Netflix held off competitors for so long and grew so well. YouTube is still in very early stages. We're still in a declining environment for linear television. Online video is still growing rapidly. We're seeing a lot of dollars shift out of that big linear TV pie onto YouTube and online video. And you know, YouTube's done well in both kind of the online video part. They're doing more on connected TVs right now. You know, I don't always tell anecdotal stories about my kids, but my kids don't watch linear TV. When they go onto the TV, 90% of the time they're going onto YouTube. So where you think about where YouTube sits right now in garnering ad dollars, both from the digital world and from the television world, they're in a pretty sweet spot, and they have a lot of room to run there.